like working with our crew, though. I say that all the time. It's like no swearing, no swearing, no swearing. Come on, guys. See the red light?
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Welcome to Scuttlebutt Podcast. I'm Rich Mellon.
I'm Sandi, and we are here with our guests today from On Point Adventures.
Yes.
Charlene and Josh. So
Hello.
thank you so much for joining us. We're sitting in the living room at our house.
Yeah.
And you guys have had a busy day.
It was early this morning, yeah, for sure. We got up for ducks. It didn't work out. No ducks, nothing.
We saw one.
We saw one.
Yeah.
It didn't come close, and we didn't shoot anything. We didn't shoot around, no.
It's tough. A lot of people don't understand this part when you're doing a TV show. And, well, they are here in northern Alberta, where we also live, and it's busy time of the year right now. You guys, of course, doing. I guess you're branching out. Originally, you were in the mostly just in waterfowl and upland.
And the last couple of years, the waterfowl have just been. I mean, it's been interesting with the weather and stuff, and so playing against that, we definitely dove into more filming now with the upland.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But you can't make it always happen when you want it to happen, and that's the big deal. Is you've got such a limited amount of time, and especially this year. I mean, with the waterfowl, I mean, you're rolling the dice every day.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we've had how many snowstorms already here in the middle of
Yeah,
October?
and then getting into fields because I mean, crops are not off.
Yeah.
No.
So they don't even want you in there, let alone walking in. I mean, we haven't driven into a field in a long time either.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's too soft or they don't want you in, which is fine. I mean, we've done tracks across fields, packing decoys and setting up, and then you sit and you hope, right?
Yeah.
It's just like hunting anything,
Yeah.
right? It's
Bucks and ducks never show up when you want them to.
No. No.
Well, your guys' show is about the dog focus, working with dogs in the hunting, and we'll get to that. But first, everybody wants to know the dirt about you two. Want to know the inside story here?
God.
When did you meet?
I'm telling you, that one's for her.
That's what he said. He's like, I'm going to pass that question to you. Josh and I met, what, four years ago?
Yep.
My brother was actually, my dad and my brother were looking at getting a dog. They do a lot together. And they were talking about a GSP, and I was telling a friend who said, well, I know a guy. Put me in contact with Josh. You were about to have a litter on the ground.
Yep.
About to. No, you were just going to breed Gypsy. Gypsy was just being bred. Anyways, and we just got talking, and things just kind of took off from there. And we just kept talking and kept talking. And
Dude, you're my hero. Everybody says either go to the grocery store to pick up chicks or have a dog. Yeah.
Puppies,
You
man.
know, there's a whole lot, but that is really the gist of how we ended up together and stuff. And I mean, he just had this big idea, and then I was invited to a friend of his place, and with a whole bunch of people who just wanted to get together and do something. And all of these people had GSPs, and you know, that it was like, we're going to do a show, and we're all just kind of like, yeah, sure, whatever, this is a great time, you know. Somebody pour me another whiskey, you know. It turned into a good time and whatever, and then I think, yeah, he just kept going. He just kept going with the ideas, and that this is what we were going to do.
Well, obviously,
And it was nice to follow somebody, you know, who
That's
has
cool.
his ideas and keeps pushing for.
well, obviously we agree with the choice in dogs because we have pointers running around everywhere too. But so where did the dogs come from? What's your background? Where was the start, the focus on the dogs?
Wow. So I grew up with labs and running labs for waterfowl. And
You're pretty good for all that.
Yeah.
I mean, you turned out normal after.
For running labs.
But
we're gonna get lots of hate mail for that one.
Nah, Josh doesn't know that, so it's sorry to hear that. So anyways.
yeah, so when I moved to Alberta, got into the short hairs. They're a versatile breed. We can use them upland and waterfowl, and they're more of a utility dog, and they pretty much outperform the labs, I find.
Right.
Not to insult anybody, but it is what it is, and
Yeah.
It's your experience and
Yeah.
stuff too,
And
right?
it's just a different level of what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So did I I understood at one time you worked with dogs?
Yeah.
Like you were in.
I did canine security.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what is canine security?
So just basically we have the same dogs that the police have. We had to get tested the same way, so.
Okay.
Ours were.
It's your favorite part of the cops show when they stick the puppy on them.
Josh, don't you have a time when you left your dog back in the vehicle though?
Yeah.
At a mall?
Sometimes you get excited. Mall security, which we supported at the time, had somebody go through that. It was pretty. They weren't in the best of shape. They were tearing up the mall and smashing stuff and running through, and so they called us. I was like, yeah, I got the dog, and I'll come around the back of the mall. But we had called city police and asked how far they were, because that's actually their job. And Sue Evans, the canine handler for the city police, she's awesome. She said she was about 20 minutes out. So by the time I got there, I let my dog out on the one side of the mall, and she had shown up a lot faster and let her dog out on the other side of the mall.
Oh.
And that's a different story. But anyway, I'll finish this one. Anyway,
we got lots of time.
Both of our dogs ended up catching the guy at the same time. But the problem is when you have two dogs like that, if you go in and try and separate them, they're going to end up in a fight. So we basically had to let them chew on the guy. And so we've seen an opportune moment.
That's rough.
No. But there was another time, I went in there and I forgot. I ended up bailing out of the car to chase the guy and left my dog in the car, and it was a 2-mile run. And Sue Evans was in the RCMP parking lot, and she had the guy in handcuffs when I got there, and she's like, "Where's your dog?"
Oh.
Oh, he's in the car, man. I needed the extra.
It's in the car.
No. I ran that 2 miles.
Oh yeah, just like no.
My favorite story when it comes to letting the dogs loose to chase out a suspect. Our son was there with our son is a paramedic. Our oldest boy is a paramedic with the city of Red Deer. And anyway, at one point, this guy wasn't behaving, and so they had the dog chase him down, and he stops and he's being obedient or whatever, and then for whatever reason, this guy up and cold cocks the dog officer, like the RCMP dog controller. Well, he learned an incredible lesson right on the spot, because Matt said by the time they got the dog off of him, he was standing. He said he literally had all that was left of his pants was he had a belt and one pocket, and everything else was ripped off him. He said a big hunk bit right out of his thigh.
Oh yeah.
He says here's the important lesson he learned. He says is that the officer doesn't have to be conscious to send the dog, but he has to be conscious to call it off.
Well, the cool thing about the way those dogs are trained is they're actually, I don't know if you've seen it with the bite, with the bite suits in the arm, is the dog is told to bite and hold on. Their job is to hold a suspect.
Yeah.
Now, in his case, the dog kept having to go for another bite because what the dog was holding on to wasn't holding
suspect anymore.
Yeah.
And not only that, but the guy had knocked out the handler, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, you don't know how the dog reacts. Like
the dog keeps doing his job until he's told to stop.
Yeah.
And they have certain commands too, don't?
Would it have any or make a difference in that because it was the handler, because that dog was, that was the dog's master?
Oh, 100%.
It would react a lot more. Right?
Even if the handler was conscious, it would have been harder for him to get the dog off because the dog would have been elevated that much more.
Yeah, because it was a threat to his person.
Yeah, it wasn't a job at that point. It was a personal threat.
Yeah.
So he got her.
Well, that's cool. That's really interesting. So then, what sort of dog did you use in that instance? Was it a shepherd?
It was a shepherd.
Yeah.
I've never handled a Malinois. I'd love to. They're incredible dogs.
A what?
Malinois.
They look like regular shepherds.
Yes.
To people who just look at dogs and know what they are. They look like almost a black shepherd. They're a lot darker. They're not up. There is a black German shepherd, but they're smaller.
Yeah, they're about half the size and they're way more athletic.
Yeah.
And they're
very
crazier.
Agile.
Yeah.
That term covers the black genetic is what it is, because you get black coyotes and black bobcat and the same thing Malinois. Yeah. Exactly.
So they're a Belgian version of the shepherd. Belgian Malinois is what they're called, and they're incredible dogs.
So they're a different dog, but just to if you were just looking, most people would probably call it a shepherd.
Yeah, or black shepherd. Yeah, exactly. You hear that all the time, right?
Yeah. It's like no, it's actually a completely different breed.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're quick on that.
So where are you from, originally?
Originally, I'm from Ontario,
Okay.
And
Whereabouts in Ontario?
St. Catharines.
No, we won't hold that against you.
I know. I try to say that too. I was from Ontario.
I was born and raised out here, and we always look at, the
Yeah.
east. When the wind blows out of the east, we got a storm coming, and that's about the best thing comes out of the east.
Which is really funny because, we were talking about, when we first got together and the very beginnings of On Point and stuff, we started with 14 people
Yeah.
interested.
Holy.
And we lost a few in wages with the commitments and the jogging around, and some people just couldn't do it, and it was fine.
That
and
would
then-
be like herding cats.
It was bad.
That is what we say politely.
Yeah.
And eventually, and then, working with anybody and then working with something that takes so much of your personal everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really, we dwindled down, and some were easier to let go than others, and some were not so such. I really shouldn't even say that. But, and then, we just started as a big giant group.
So
How long ago was
you
that?
to get back
4
to
years, yeah.
where they're from.
Oh, yes.
Sorry.
You start-
I'm sorry.
You started in Ontario and then went
Moved to New Brunswick.
to New Brunswick.
And that's actually the point Char was trying to make, is she's the only Albertan on our
Yeah.
team.
Oh.
That's where I was going. It's like we started with so many, and now we're down to 6 of us. I guess, including Jeff, there's 6 of us.
Okay.
I'm the only one from Alberta.
Okay.
Everybody's from the east.
And whereabouts in Alberta were you from?
Mostly here.
Really?
I've been in GP now for since 01, so 17 years,
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess. And then before that, in High Prairie. So,
Oh.
and 16 years there.
So not
Okay.
very
And
far away.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
which is only 2 hours from here. And so the better part of my life has been spent
Okay.
in Northern Alberta. So, and
Yeah.
everybody else has come from PEI, New Brunswick-ish,
Newfoundland.
Newfoundland.
So what brought you to Alberta from New Brunswick?
The money. Not gonna lie.
Work.
Yeah.
I mean,
So what kind of work then? Like in the
I
same
worked at a
field?
Ford dealership.
Oh, okay.
The dealership I worked at in Fredericton was awesome. They put me all through my schooling for the Master Tech program through
Right.
Ford. But I was getting $18 an hour out here, and I was getting 44 out here.
Right.
So
Right.
Oh,
18
18
at
at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
18 at home and 44 here. Yeah.
However, you probably lived better on 18 back there than you did at 44 out here.
I was actually working 3 full-time jobs
Yeah.
back
Back
there.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is the cost of living that high there?
Taxes.
Oh.
You guys don't know about that.
No. No.
We're
but we-
learning.
But yeah, unfortunately, we're learning.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you mechanicked and you.
Drove tow truck full-time,
Wow.
and then I worked at an engine machine shop part-time.
Wow.
Some of his best stories are from touring trucks.
Oh, bet they are.
No, come on. Pulling vehicles out of trees,
Yeah.
Yeah.
taking guardrails down real quick.
You sit and listen to Matt when he's with the rest of the guys from the fire department. Some of those stories curl your hair. Oh Lord.
Wow.
But they deal with it in that black humor way, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
pulled ambulances out of basements.
Yeah.
We have black ice back there, and
Yeah.
during the day it's warm, everything melts, and then by 5 o'clock it freezes solid. And when things go bad, they go bad, real bad.
We don't have black ice like that here, do we?
No.
No. It was really funny because you always talk about, people you hear mention about frost on the road, and it was so slippery, and they're like, what does that mean? I mean, we know winter is here. Well, when we were in Spain, we were hunting in Spain. Do you remember the frost on the road there? Like, honest to God, it was like, you go into a corner and it would, white frost on the road. Also, the vehicle's just gliding like this, right? You're in the mountains there. It wasn't pleasant, but I got out and walked around on it, and it was really, really slippery. It was so different than what we were used to, right?
Yeah.
And is that because of the salts?
No, it's
In the air?
because of the moisture in the air.
Oh.
So it actually, how your asphalt's porous,
Yeah.
this moisture puts a
Fill
layer on
that.
there and fills it, so you have zero traction.
Oh, so that would be the same in Spain then, because we weren't very far from the ocean
That's
there.
right, yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, very interesting though. We don't get We tell everyone we have a dry cold.
Yeah.
Dry.
It really, that's what it is. And
Yeah.
when we do get that moisture, you freeze to your bones here.
Yeah.
Right?
I can handle -40 outside here in a t-shirt to go out for a cigarette. I can't do it -20 back home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember years ago, we knew people that at the hospital, and they had nurses that would come from Montreal, and they'd hear on the radio that it was -40, and they would be bundled up to
Yeah.
walk a short distance or whatever, wherever they were, and it was like, well, it's not that cold.
And we're just like,
But it
This
is.
is-
I mean, it's
Yeah.
definitely -40, but it's not the same in
No, it's
Montreal.
not.
It would be
and
that
it's
down.
it's the same as the summer,
Yeah.
right? Where we get
Humid.
+30 and whatever, but people in Ontario are half dying because it's
Yeah.
+30 there, but the humidity level is,
Oh yeah.
you can't breathe moisture,
Yeah.
right? And
I
that's what you
can't.
get there.
I can't handle it. I can always put more clothes on, but there's only so many clothes I can take
And
off
that's
before
why
I get
that's
arrested.
actually why heat is a number one killer.
Yeah.
Because you can't.
Yeah.
Even if you strip naked, it's still too hot. You can't continue to go.
Yeah.
Where you could still put 75 more sweaters on.
Yeah.
You might not be able to move, but you can put
Still-
75 more sweaters
You
on.
still get the complaints from the neighbors about being naked and stuff like that.
When you moved down
Josh is
here-
like, I have a 6-foot fence.
We have no fence, but we always used to tell the kids when we moved out here, start honking the horn at the bottom of the hill because clothing is optional around this place.
Yeah.
They go, Mom!
Oh my god!
That is a parent's mission in life, is to make their kids wiggle around in their skin, isn't it?
Oh my god!
Oh,
And,
raise the
and it was
things
so common in my house growing up. It was so funny. I mean, not nakedness, but just the conversation, right? And it was so funny. I will never forget. I had moved out. I had my son. Blah blah blah. And there was a time where I needed a place to stay for a little while. Transitioned to my own house, and so I was back home. And my parents had, my youngest brother was there. Everybody was still home, but it was different anyways because I got up in the middle of the night to go get a drink, and I had to go downstairs because there was no cup in the bathroom. And I'm like, so I go down the stairs, and my parents' door is right at the bottom of the stairs. And just as I hit the bottom of the stairs, my dad comes in, buck naked, and he's like, "Oh!" And I'm like, "Dad!" And he's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm getting a drink." And he's like, "Me too. Get me a milk." I'm like, "Okay." Why are we still standing here? Oh! Why?
What happened?
Why did we stand here and talk? Put some pants on. I was like, I couldn't script that in an episode of anything.
Seinfeld.
So yeah, maybe.
Seinfeld,
Yeah.
Friends, something
Yeah.
like
The
that.
show-
Yeah,
the
it
show
was-
about
it
nothing.
was, yeah. But yeah, that was a funny one. Yeah.
So-
there are examples. Yeah.
You made your way out.
Yeah.
You ended up here. Did you end up in Grand Prairie?
No, I was in Manning.
In Manning?
Yeah.
Okay. And you always have an interest in hunting with dogs, or?
Oh, I always have. I've
Yeah.
always run gun dogs. So.
But once you got here, then you discovered the short hair, or?
No, I've always known about them, but I wanted to pick another dog because I hadn't had a dog in a long time, and I was like, you know what, it's got to be a short hair. So then I started choosing breeders and going through bloodlines and doing my research that way.
Oh, fascinating.
That's what
Fascinating.
he does. I mean, like he knows.
Well, when it's your passion,
Yeah.
then
Absolutely.
that's what you
Yeah.
you
I
seek
can
it out.
spot a dog's genetics from miles away.
It
If I
is funny, and I'm getting better at it. I don't know.
Like for instance, we were walking down the trails and there was a dog coming towards me. No one come over, and I said, "How old's that dog? 8?" And he's like, "Yeah." I said, "That's a Kenny pup." And he's like, "Okay, you're starting to freak me out."
Who are you? What is
Yeah,
happening?
I was like, "You bought that dog from Nancy Beth Costello in Ontario,
Yeah,
and that's one of Kenny's pups." And he's like, "How do you know that?"
yeah,
And the girl that was with me, she's like, "Man, he can spot genetics anywhere."
yeah.
So that has led to you now starting your own line.
Yep.
Okay. And I don't know much about this. Don't laugh too loud if I ask a really stupid question, but you start then with what you take as the best genetic from 2 lines?
Yeah. So the way, like, we have show dogs and we have hunt dogs, and the ultimate desire is to combine both.
Right.
Absolutely.
And the
So-
reason
Well, that's what I was going to say. I might go off a little bit here, but it's called form before function.
Okay.
So we do confirmation shows to prove we have the proper form of a dog so it can function in the field for 8 to 10 hours.
So that's your fancy dog show.
Yeah.
So when you go prancing around the ring and the judge looks at your dog, what they're looking at is that to this breed standard in this book that we have decided is right, your dog meets what it should look like.
Oh, okay.
She really looked down her nose when she was doing this, didn't she?
She did.
They make me crazy, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes it's interesting meeting a lot of different people, and especially different breeders of the same dog and blah blah blah. But
Before we get back to that, I just want to step off one little tangent here then. What about the GSP that won Best of Show in New York 2 years ago now?
2 years ago.
Was he good?
He was great. That's a nephew. That would be a nephew to my male dog.
Really?
Yeah.
Amazing. I loved it. I mean, because so often you see like Fufu going around being Best of Show, and to see a dog that you can see that those.
yes.
The great thing about the pointers and that is they have those deep chests. Those clean limbs. They're just hard working.
Yeah.
They got honest heads. You know what I mean? There's nothing hidden about them. I mean, a flea couldn't hide on them. And I
that's
just
too
like
why when you watch the shows, the judge puts their hands on the dogs, because how much can you hide
Yeah.
in
In fluff.
Yeah.
exactly, a big fluffy dog, right? So they actually do put their hands on to feel the structure of the dog, but that's what the dog show is for, is to verify the structure of the dog is sound, so your form is good.
Okay.
Because without that form, you don't
Can't
have
function.
the function.
Yeah.
You're not going to have the lasting
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
So back to your form and function.
I'm
hijack
stuck
you
on
constantly.
CJ, man. I love that dog.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not
I
going
was.
to lie, he cried when he went.
Yeah.
Oh, I did.
That's awesome.
Yeah. No, it also helped our lines as well too, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. It's good to be.
but no, and everybody's opinion on form is like between even Canada and the U.S. The breeders, huge difference.
Yeah.
So you have to be. I find my opinion is you have to be working these dogs to see what form is proper in the breed.
Right.
Like for instance, the little female I just finished stock, like she's technically over standard and a doggy bitch is what they call her. She looks more like a male than a female, except for her head and neck. That's what saves her.
Okay.
Oh.
But
She's a little taller than I like them to be. A little taller than standard. I mean, she's not, but she's just that little bit of height.
it's a half inch we're talking.
Okay,
Oh,
so
wow.
standard conformation then for a female GSP is
24 inches maximum
to the
to the withers.
withers, and do they have a weight standard as well?
That's an ish. 'cause they don't weigh.
45 to 50 is at the top of the standard for weight for the
In
females. Yeah.
Okay, so our monsters are all quite a bit over that.
Dot's a 62-pound dog.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't think she was in that 45 pound.
No,
No.
no.
She's a beautiful dog.
But again, so I with a co-breeder that I've worked with, she's talking to me, she's like, do not downsize your dogs. Because of what you do, we hunt the waterfowl, the geese,
Right.
the upland. We could run these dogs 8 to 10 hours a day. She says you're going to take away from that. But I've done everything I can in the show world. We've won the best in show group first. We've won, breed.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is campaign a dog now. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to drop my size, which is like killing me. But I'm going to have to do
Basically,
it.
so campaigning a dog.
Yeah, you knew what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Very good.
So, Sealy, I don't know if you've seen her on my Facebook page. I was tagging her from Jane. So she ran a campaign last year in the U.S. She was the #1 dog in the U.S. And I'm going to ask you, take a crack at how much do you think that would cost to show a dog for a full year?
Oh my gosh.
Basically,
How many
we're
shows?
Every show, like
Every
just
weekend.
everything. Every weekend, you're
So,
at
like,
a show
50 shows?
somewhere.
Yep.
$100,000?
What do you think?
Yeah, 150, something like that.
Sealy's campaign was $1.8 million.
What?
Wow. Okay.
Did the dog fly business class too?
Right? So and then the next thing is
You're a
how
cheap
much
date.
money do you think? How much money do you think you win at dog shows if you were
I imagine that's pathetic. Imagine that.
Zero.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no money.
Unless you're running Purina Pro or the Yukonu Special.
You can get sponsorships. You can. There's specialties where they'll. It's not a specialty. Anyways, where there's sweeps and stuff. Yeah, and boosters where a club will go. We're gonna put a bunch of prizes in, and so you can win some things that way. And there are some little monies, but you don't win money.
So basically, you're competing for a dog biscuit.
Yeah. Basically, it's a breed show. Basically, like cattle, when they go to auction and stuff and they parade their cattle around, it is for breeding purposes. This is what we have produced. This is what you want your dog to be. This is my bitch that I have available for breeding.
Right.
So people come to you and go, she's amazing, she's winning, she's winning, she's winning. Obviously, multiple judges are deciding you have the dog that the book says a GSP should be.
No.
I want one of your puppies.
Having said that, this summer with Dot, after her American Championship, I brought her back to Canada and said I would finish her myself. I put her in 8 shows, and I put 4 points on her.
Out of 10.
I gave her to a handler who was competing against the exact same dogs, and she finished her in 2 weekends.
Wow.
Wow.
So what's the credibility on
Right? It's all.
same judges, same dogs she was competing against, but she finished her in 2 weekends.
So,
Like judge.
yeah, well, I can see that. But.
Yeah. But again, it's a political thing too as well.
Well, I can see that because she would be well known. She would be known to all the judges, and they
All the
either
dogs
respect her
are
or whatever.
judges,
And yeah.
So it does. So the show still has to be there.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to be the responsible breeder and have you registered and be taken seriously as a kennel and as a breeder, you have to do the shows.
Yeah.
You have to.
But
What goes with that is all of the
Political.
But taking away
Absolutely.
from that, what that tells me is I have a damn good dog.
Yeah.
And I knew I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Just had the wrong person at the helm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you hire a handler,
Yeah.
another fee.
Of course.
Yep.
Yeah. Everything has a fee.
$1,000 a weekend.
fees. Yeah.
Wow.
And Madison's amazing. We love Madison.
Yeah.
She's our handler. and she absolutely loved Dot, and she connected with Dot.
Yeah.
Was
Well,
able
that
to
makes
show
a
her very, very
difference
well.
too,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't work very well if you had a great handler that didn't connect with your
Yeah,
dog.
exactly.
That's one of the things I told her with Dot when we talked on the phone. I said, you have to bond with this dog. If you bond with this dog, she'll do anything you want.
Yeah.
And then, she was killing it right out of the gate with that
Wow.
dog.
Yeah.
So
And so these competitions are all form. This is just
Yep.
that the dog walks and moves and
the
trots.
confirmation is mainly movement, because movement tells you so much about a dog. If they're throwing their legs out, or if the shoulder angulation is wrong. If you have a straight-shouldered dog, they don't have as much reach.
Oh, okay.
All these kind of things. And if the top line's not right, like they're high in the rear, so they're going to be putting more weight on their front end.
Right.
So you see a lot of dogs with long thighs, right? And their back end's sitting higher than their front. You're putting all that weight on the front end. So you don't want that in a working dog, because they'll wear the front end out of it.
Right.
Well, all of ours are just pets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We've had a few.
Yeah. They're all lucky if they come here to live. But we've taken to rescuing. I don't know how many have we rescued now.
4.
4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it all has its place, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's part
Oh,
of
we
it.
have a soft spot
Well,
for
if
dogs
you're
that need
gonna-
a home.
If you're going to talk about that as well, a good point to bring up is about like Char mentioned about breeders and being respected. We have our own rescues, so dogs don't go to the shelters, and they're not given away. We have our own support group for breeders that run into this kind of situation.
Yeah.
Right.
And it does happen where, people get into a breed, whether it's a short hair or whatever, they find that,
And it's not right.
it's not the right fit for their family
That is the number one thing we find. People say she out of control. I can't do anything with her. She doesn't. She paces. She does this. She does that. Or whatever. And then you go over and you meet the dog, and you're like, it's just a normal GSP. There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the dog. She's aggressive. She's blah blah blah. She's doing this. She's destroying everything.
they have to run.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like they don't have to do 10K a day, but it's just, it's the misunderstanding of when they got the dog, what that dog requires, and now they have.
Well, there's a lot of people that look at them and go, what a beautiful dog. I want one of those. But they
Yeah.
don't understand the time commitment that it takes, the need of the breed. They need to run,
Absolutely.
like you say.
You know, and you brought up watching Westminster and seeing CJ win. That's great, but every year, whatever dog breed wins,
Yeah. Then
2 years later is filling shelters.
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's because everybody said, oh, well, this is the best dog ever.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, I've watched Westminster my whole life, never breeding, never doing any of this. And the year the Papillon won, I'm going to tell you, I want one of those. Look at how cute he was. He got up right up in the cup there, and he's so cute. I was a kid. I wasn't getting one. But, I mean, I was right in there with everybody else. But it's 2 years later, they're filling shelters, and it's because, oh, they're so beautiful, I want one.
Yeah.
I think part of it, though, I think that the vast majority of breeds don't get near the exercise from their owners that they require.
No, they don't.
Like dogs are one thing that people just do not appreciate how much. People talk about, well, I took it for a long walk on Tuesday. Should be tired, you know. It's only Friday, but a dog.
Tired.
Our dogs went for 2 walks today.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean.
Well, and we don't. I mean, we are harassed. We don't even get dinner some nights.
Yeah.
They have dinner.
Yeah.
We don't have dinner on the table, and there's a lot of yipping and yiping going on in it.
go.
So you know what? It's just as easy to take them out and let them stretch their legs and do what they need
and
to
then
do.
it's done, right?
And then we can have dinner in peace.
Well, you know what? And the same thing at our place. Like, there's quite the routine now, and it's a little easier. But some nights you're trying to do this, you're trying to do that. You've the dogs ate and they're chilling out, so you're running around. I mean, doing the 10,000 things that you do otherwise, and then. Now you're just trying to sit, and the dogs are unsettled, and they keep getting up, and they're pacing, and Josh's starting to lose his mind because he's tired and wants to shut down now. And the dog, I'm like, let's just pause this. Let's just go take them out for a quick run.
Yeah.
And then that's it. It's 20 minutes. It's, from start to finish, it's 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they're all done.
Yeah.
And you know what?
And they're all laying and just quiet. And it's
Yeah.
just like, but you have to do that. Otherwise you sit there and you're just like pulling your hair out. Like could you just sit?
Yeah.
Like just sit. You know,
And it's so good for you too. Is the thing?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh yeah.
I drive.
So good for the You drive.
I throw them in the truck. I go for a drive. I dump them in the field. They go for a run. I get in the truck and I go home.
Yeah. And that's the evening. That's the evening routine. But when they got to go, they ate a couple hours ago. It's time to go.
Yeah.
And our dogs, I tease because they're show princesses. They don't go in the backyard.
Oh.
Because
No.
other dogs have gone back there.
Oh.
Or, excuse me, it's raining. They will swim all day after ducks in a slough. That's disgusting. Open the door and it's raining, brakes on.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have to go that bad. Yeah. You sometimes have to pull them out the door and make them go. It's like, you guys, we're not going for a run just so you can pee. Get in the backyard. Because unfortunately, we're stuck in the city.
How many dogs do you have now?
I'd like to plead the fifth on that.
How many dogs live with you? Still pleading the fifth?
Yeah, I'll answer the
Depends on
first
who's
question
listening.
and I'll deny the second one. So we have 6 in total?
What? No.
5.
There are 5 dogs in our house. My son moved with
You're
his
forgetting
dog.
about Creed.
In our house.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't going to answer that question. Way to go. We own 6?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We currently own 6.
Oh,
we don't
okay.
have 6 dogs in the house. But.
Yeah. No, there's not 6 dogs in our house.
Like it would make a difference.
We have.
I'm not sure once you get to 5 if one more really makes a difference.
Well, at least Creed. So Creed is a male that we actually co-own.
Okay.
So meaning on the registration papers is our name and, Josh's name, I guess, and Jane's name.
Yeah.
So she has them full time. We actually switched her and Dot, Creed and Dot. So anyways, Creed is Dot's brother.
Okay.
So and Jane is she's not a breeder. What do you call Jane?
She's a handler.
She's a handler. She buys and handles dogs in
Okay.
the show and stuff. She's quite respected down there. She does a lot with the GSP club. And what else does she handle? Whippets.
Yep.
She loves her whippets. So
And she's in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's in Ohio. Does she live in Ohio?
She sure does.
Yes, she does.
Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
I was like, I know she lives there. But yeah, so so we co-own. So on the registration papers is both of our names, and it comes with some benefits and stuff too. So
Yeah.
I want to hear about this story now where you went out and got drunk and you woke up as a TV star.
oh yeah, that's how that happened. Oh my God.
I don't know this story.
right.
She was just talking about it. She was
That's what
just
it
talking
feels like
about it.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went off on a way tangent, and I was going to come back to say I'm the only Albertan on the team.
It goes back to the tax shack.
Yeah, the tax shack. Oh my, Claremont. No, so that's that meeting, and it was. I mean, I still have all the notes, and sometimes I like to go back and just look at this, like,
And
oh
laugh.
my. Yeah, like, sure, you guys, this is insane. But you figure more minds, the better, right? Like, I mean, you get all these creative ideas going, and well, you just can't manage that many. So, but I think when we very first started, we had 14 at the first serious meeting, and then we lost a bunch, and then we had.
At the point where you were asking for checks? That's when a bunch left?
Yeah, there was a few that left. I remember having one discussion. I mean, right when we were starting, like, we're going to start a company, and we were deciding, do you do partnership? And then the various forms of that, or you do corporation. This is what this looks like, guys. And I was getting serious. I said, so if all of a sudden something happens and somebody sues us for $1 million, we couldn't imagine how this would happen. But this is the reality. You lose your house. And he looks at me. He's like, whoa, we're not. I'm like, no. I'm not telling you we're going to get sued for $1 million. I'm just telling you, putting the commitment into this and signing these papers and setting up for this, this is what could happen in this
Yeah.
situation. Like, we're being serious here, right? And, I mean, they didn't end up being on the papers, but they ended up moving. But, we just kind of dwindled down, and then when we went to Hunt for 7 of us, I guess.
Yep.
There was 7 of us. Yeah, because it was, yeah. And then, working with a big, giant group of people, eventually you realize that, sometimes not everybody's opinion matters in certain situations. Sometimes you have to realize that you need 1-2 people to make decisions. And everybody has to trust in that and stuff, and regardless of how you do it. And there was a couple people that just couldn't get on board with that, and it was like, okay, guys, but having a discussion with even 7 people, it doesn't stay on topic for long.
Nope.
You don't get things as accomplished as you need them to be, and depending on your group dynamic too. And
there's always talkers and doers.
Absolutely. And we had a couple of my front door of my house right now, if you turn the knob the one way, it doesn't actually open. Because it was slammed so hard when one of the girls left.
Oh,
Because she
dear.
was mad at me. And I didn't apologize. She came demanding an apology. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But you know what? But we just kept pushing forward. We just kept doing. We did our first season on Wild TV. That was wow. I mean, we were all just like, oh my God, this is happening. I guess starting way back is we called you.
Right.
Yeah. We called you. We said, we have this crazy idea. What do we do?
Yeah.
And you got right back to us and helped us out and got.
I was polite?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You called us back as if he wasn't going to be polite.
I wasn't going to say that.
No, I don't even know how you ended up with his number.
I emailed Rich,
he emailed,
him.
and-
I emailed Rich, and he called me.
Yeah, we were on our way back from Manning.
Yeah, and then the next morning, Helgi called me
Yeah.
from Wild.
Yeah.
And then,
It's like, wow, this happened fast.
Yeah, we were like, oh my God, had the emergency meeting with 14 people and said, this is happening. We are going to Hunt Fest, you guys. Can you believe this? I mean, this is a huge deal. I mean, and wow, we went all out for that.
Hunt Fest was
For
so
Hunt
awesome.
Fest. We had so much fun.
That was when you had the
Dock diving
dock diving. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
so
the
basically,
Superman cape on-
we
on Rivman.
On river. Yeah.
so we basically ran what turned out is like 2 things at Hunt Fest, because we did the dock diving out at the pond, but we also had a booth, so we had to have people organized for both because
Yeah.
we needed dog handlers, we needed reps out there, we needed somebody on the mic, we needed all of that. But then we also constructed, because I mean, go big or go home, we built a giant, what is it, 10 feet wide? Is it 10 by 10? 10 by
12.
10 by 12 duck blind. Right? And I mean, we had it, I mean, all constructed. We had, you know, and I mean, all of our stuff and just information and 2 monitors going and video. And I mean, we videotaped while we were there, and
Yeah.
we ran the shows, and we had a blast. I mean, we slept hard after that. I mean, we did 2 shows a day.
Yeah.
I mean, jumping, and yeah.
And when you're dealing with animals in a live show, like, that's a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
had
all I'm
to-
going to say. It's a lot of work.
We hunted one time. Sandy got that cougar. We were in Idaho.
Yep.
And we're doing the outfitter interview, right? You
Yeah.
remember? You remember what he said? He said, "Well, you're going to be hunting with my dogs." And he says, the one thing that he said, I'm not going to claim they're the best, because as soon as you claim your dog's the best, then they let you down.
Yeah, total truth. Absolutely. Oh my.
So, what was, like, you guys now have done it. You've started a TV show, got it up and running. That. What was the biggest surprise, the challenge that really threw you the most, that you didn't expect?
They haven't had any.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
really.
I'm just like really, like, I mean, I guess there's lots of things you don't expect, but nothing really stands out. I mean, I think our first year was the hardest, I gotta say. I mean, I think it was because we were dealing with a lot of different people with a lot of different ideas of what they wanted the end to look like, and a lot of ideas on how to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was just,
There's
I mean,
lots of paths.
I can't imagine
there
that.
was
like,
stress, and there was serious lack of sleep. There so many nights just up, arguing.
It's so much more
arguing.
work than you'd ever believe, right?
It is a lot of work.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of, because things have just continued to happen, and with a commitment of continuing to do it. And I mean, you know, we talk about the 14 people. We're down now to 6.
Right.
There's 5 people actually in our company. And then Jeff, I mean, he's virtually in the company anyways, you know, and I mean, you can pretty much, and I mean, we have tense moments anyways.
We do.
But I mean, and that's just working with people, period. And not in a bad way, but I mean, we really get things done. Everybody just does their thing. And I think other people don't realize, you know, when we say, so when we do our seasons, we film all of the hunting and all of that stuff. You try to do editing in the middle, and you know, because I mean, you're prepared, and then when you sit down to do your episodes, you would be prepared, and you just gotta slide this over and double check it. We're good to go. That never happens. It just doesn't. We've become a lot more organized, even just digital files.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
files of files
Yeah.
now, where originally it wasn't like that.
No, originally
And that was not us either, but-
I'd have like 20 folders, and every one of them, the first file in every one of them would be 0001. Yeah, and so then you have 20 0001s
Yeah.
when the
Yeah.
time comes to start putting
You're like,
stuff
what was
together.
I doing? So you know what I mean? So then we do all that. So then come January, we usually put out our first episode about January 22nd-ish. We're going to do something different this year. We've gone live TV on the last couple, which is fun, but we're going to try something else this year. Okay. But anyway, so after that, it is, you know, you do an episode a week, give or take. You do an episode a week. So the weekends, we usually try to do our sit-down talk-ups to the show, and then we go and we edit that. Make sure we get it all, which sometimes we don't. Sometimes we get a lot more than we bargained for when people have a drink before they go on camera. But I mean, things can get later and later. It depends
Hey,
on
this is getting good.
how much topic you can stay
See Josh
on.
looking over at her there, giving her the high side, like, shut up.
I didn't know if we're allowed to say.
Too much information.
Can I throw something in for Bird Dog Whiskey here?
The consumption level is. But you do all that and then it's editing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then you got to sit and edit. And as many people as can help. I mean, Jason's come over and gone through footage and, you try to have it all organized and stuff. But really it comes down to one person sitting in front of the computer. And lots of times it's overnight.
Oh, I know.
Sitting in front of the computer and then he's got to work the next day.
Yeah.
And he's got to go mechanic the next day. And then the next day you still have to get this done because it's got to be in.
Yep.
Yeah.
And uploaded the next day, and then now it's Thursday. You got it uploaded, perfect. So what are we doing this weekend? Oh, what episode are we putting together this weekend?
Yeah.
Now we have to decide what we're talking about.
But it's so funny because I might have had this conversation with you when you asked me about it. But usually the people come to you and they want to start a TV show and they say, "Oh, you're living my dream." No, I'm not. Because if it was your dream, you'd be living it as well. And then they go into that first season, and I say, you got to remember, it's a grind. And, we've got so much footage. I said, yeah, this year. You've probably been shooting 3 or 4 years worth of hunting to make up that first season. After that, all of a sudden now you get that just nicely done.
You have to produce 13 episodes every year.
And make it interesting and come up with the topics and come up with the stuff. So,
and do it in a professional manner.
And we're still not in the habit of bringing a camera. These are not light to pack.
Nope.
Yeah.
You pack that thing all day and you get 6 minutes, which whatever. That's great.
Hey, I never had anything as small as this when we hunted those.
Yeah, I was going to say your cameras are smaller. Your cameras are smaller than ours. And I mean, a GoPro is great, but it gets that fisheye a little bit, and it get So, but like
you
there's
can use it for some things, but you can't shoot
the supplemental, right?
Yeah.
But and it's just, and then we do so many things, and like you said, our show is so. I keep saying I want to hire somebody to write. People say, "Well, what do you do?"
You're lucky though. I mean, working with animals, working with the dogs.
Yeah.
Like a lot of that covers a lot of sins. That's like barbecue sauce and maternity bridal
Well,
gowns.
it's kind of like
because you can sit there and just let the dog run, and everybody will sit there and stare at the dog, right?
Yeah,
because it's so
there is
cool,
that,
right? Yeah.
Kind of why we went with the on-point adventures. Everything we do is an adventure.
Yeah.
But again, like we're gonna break into the big game scene this year because I've done so much with the dogs that I want to give the dogs a break and roll into something else to just give something fresh to everybody.
Well, you went tuna fishing,
I know.
Yeah.
right?
That's
Yeah.
Yeah. So
followed that on Facebook.
That
so
was incredible.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
Lots of fun.
Oh man, that was one of the most incredible. I've shark fished before. Tuna is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the action, and if you like, the guys were teasing us before we got there, and they said, don't watch Wicked Tuna because it's nothing like that, and it really isn't.
Yeah.
Like you see, being a TV producer now, I know there's stuff that's added in there to up the excitement level and stuff like
And
that.
the reality TV, oh my.
Yeah.
Right.
Reality, yeah. But this, I mean, the guys missed the morning bite. We were out at 6 a.m. And they were just off, and they're very successful. But there's little things that they do. But anyway, about 1 o'clock, and I'm glad I decided to roll camera for this because watching Wicked Tuna, I'm like, how am I going to make this interesting, right?
Yeah.
So they're off the bite, so one of the captains picks up the phone, and he's like, okay, he calls his buddy over there. Where are you guys? Are you seeing fish? Blah, 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 blah. And, and they're like, okay, you're about 501 and, about 517's got fish. Really cool stuff for just B-roll, like Shar was saying. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to move over to the hole. So he moves over to the hole, and I set the camera down. I cut up 20 mackerel. I toss them over the side. I'm walking up to the helm to get to the camera to talk to the captain, and I see 2 streaks on the sonar, and so they have these little bite rods that go over their line that's taped to the pole. So you put the hook and the line through it, and then it goes up to the pole, and it stays there. It's taped. So when you get a fish on, it snaps that tape off, and that thing goes zinging down the line. So like we're trolling, and all of a sudden that thing flies off the rod, man, zing fish on. Everybody's running around. I'm like, oh crap, I gotta grab a camera. So I actually missed the take. But anyway, so the guy that was driving the boat, Chris, he went down and he got the lines ready while Mark got all the other poles off and that. And then Chris went back up to the helm, and Mark's a machine. Like, he's like, do you guys want to fight this? Like, no. Like, he's sitting there, 430-pound fish. He's like,
Yeah, he's just reeling it. It's
Really,
just
I
like,
guess we're talking on radio, so I gotta explain. But he's just manhandling this fish like it's nothing. He's got
Yeah.
one leg over the rail. I'm like, how's your arms doing, buddy? He's like, fine, this is awesome. And the fish runs. So
Yeah.
he's screaming line for 5 minutes, and then
which
Chris-
is such a cool sound to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like that
Yeah.
sound of the real
Yeah.
zing.
Yeah.
You know,
It
it's
is
just like
cool.
so
yeah.
and the whole thing was over in a half an hour, and nobody
Yeah.
broke a sweat.
Yeah.
Like there's no excitement. It's
Yeah.
all professional. Chris drives the boat, chases the fish. Mark, I mean, at one point the tuna actually went under the back of the boat, so it got a little tense there.
Yeah.
Other than that, they brought him up. They brought the hook out and grabbed his tail, put the rope on. She's done. Like
You were
Yeah.
hanging off the side of the boat to get that footage, though.
yeah, that was cool. I did get some really good footage. I was literally hanging like off the boat in the
cool.
water.
It's like,
And
so
then-
my leg's over there. I'm just hoping don't fall in the water.
I actually, you can hear it on the film. I don't know if I'm going to be able to put it in the episode, but I'm like, if I fall off, guys, like, don't worry about me. Just get the fish
Get
in.
the fish in. Yeah, I can swim. Don't worry about me.
In the
Yeah.
Atlantic
But-
Ocean.
Never mind
But-
our little camera. But
Saying that, though, like 5 kilometers from us, the guys were bringing in an 800-pound tuna and a great white come up at the dock and bit it in half.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
So it's not water you want to be swimming in.
No.
Probably not.
yeah.
No.
But no, it was cool. And then we took it to market, so I filmed the whole thing getting weighed. And then they graded the fish, and I had the fish
Oh,
grader come
my.
over and talk on camera. To
And
Oh,
as
neat.
the guy is just explaining what the piece of tuna he's just taken from their
Yeah.
fish looks like, Buddy in the background fires up a chainsaw and cuts the tuna's head off.
Oh.
Like there is no, and he's just like, so this is a little lean. All of a sudden, it's like, "Brrrr," and he saw, and that tuna's head just falls off and rolls over, and we're like, can we
Did that
edit
just
to
happen?
get like? It's a little brutal for some people for TV.
Okay,
I
I'm
think.
sorry. Can you go back?
Yeah, it's
Can
like.
you back that up?
I mean, these guys are, but they're just processing. Get this
Yeah.
out. There's the buyer's waiting. He wants to know what he's paying
Yeah.
for this fish.
Yeah,
And I mean, because they got them right
the quality
there.
of the meat too, right? Like, so we hooked up. He called the buyer and made a 3 o'clock appointment, or got us in at 3:15. There was another boat that hooked up that got a 3 o'clock appointment. This was 1:30 by the time we fought that fish. So they have no cooling equipment on the boat. So we literally had to swim that fish to get the adrenaline and the amino acids out of the meat. And then they start to bleed them out. So you're dragging a 430-pound fish that's bleeding in the Atlantic Ocean where there's great white sharks.
Oh, wow.
So that's
You're
where it's,
basically just chumming the water, hoping to get back to your appointment on time.
right. So
With a whole fish.
That's where it starts getting intense. Is at that point,
course.
because then you start thinking, because you're just trolling very slow, and you're like, okay, he's got 10 gallons of blood on him, and a great white shark can smell one drop from 5 miles. Like,
Yeah.
like, can we go now, man? Like, anyway, so we get in there very fast. They get the crane out. They pick the fish up. Like, they're on a timer to not spoil this meat.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, everything's like bang, 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 bang. Like
I mean,
that.
nobody's sitting around waiting for you to get your little interview piece, to get your
No.
thing, to get this fish moving, right? But I was just like,
13
just
minutes.
saw the head off, and then he's just kind of laughing and zinging fins and tail. And okay. I mean, I was not worried about it, but I can see there could be viewers where we might have to like cut it right when he says, shows it, fade out, cut, next.
So what did the fish sell for?
They didn't tell us, but the buyer, the grader that was there, I think was not being completely honest about the grade of the fish by Chris's reaction, because I wanted to do a post interview with Chris when we got
Right.
the boat back, and we had to move ours because like they processed a 400-pound fish in 14 minutes, and it was
Yeah.
on ice and done. So we had to move our boat so the other guys could come in, and Chris got off the boat in his truck and left.
Oh.
So he's thinking about $10 a pound, and
That's about it,
if he's
yeah.
lucky. So all in all, it's a $4,000 day. But
Oh, the
Yeah.
same. He
Yeah.
figured he figures that he didn't get treated fairly.
yeah,
Wow.
Well, see, there's American buyers and there's Japanese buyers, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay.
And we were dealing with American buyers,
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
so they literally stopped catching fish because the Americans only had 2 more days there. While I was down there, I only had a week down there. The day I left, the Japanese were buying again, and they got a double header. They got a 600-pounder and a 500-pounder
Oh wow.
in the same day.
And that was the day you left.
Yeah.
Those were
That's the day
better.
you flew.
Those were better paydays.
Yeah.
So you were actually trolling for them. You weren't sitting.
I know we were sitting, moving, like you move the boats around. He kites, like I don't know if have you seen Wicked Tuna where they put the kite up?
Yeah.
Completely amazing.
Yeah.
But the problem where there was zero wind. Like we'd get wind and then we'd get no wind. Get wind, so he threw the kite up and it would fall, and he threw the kite up and he was getting angry, and we weren't into fish. But so what they do is they let line out and then they put a balloon on it.
Yep.
Basically like a bobber. It's really cool, and he's streaming the line out, and you just wait for him. At one point, I was watching the sonar. There's mackerel, and when I'm talking mackerel, his sonar screen's 10 by 12.
Yeah.
From 25 feet to 100 feet is solid fish.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then they'd go by, and then you see the tuna.
And you
Like,
go
could
out
just
and you
watch.
catch your bait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the mackerel go by on the sonar, and then you see the tuna.
Yeah.
Like, so they're literally herding them up.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's so cool.
Well, we haven't fished for tuna before, but
Well,
we've
we
been,
have, but it was
Yellowfin.
and it was off like Costa Rica and Guatemala and that.
Like the Maui
warmer
Maui?
waters.
No, that's a different fish altogether.
Is it?
But,
Yeah.
but the yellowfin tuna, they travel with the dolphins. So down
And the
there they
spinner
have
dolphins, they call
the spinner dolphins, and the reason they call them that because they jump into the air and they spin.
Oh, yeah.
They rotate and then follow back, and they travel in great big huge pods, I guess. I don't know, like hundreds of them. And what it is the dolphins are very, very efficient hunters, killers, right? And they circle the bait fish up and they go in there and they stun so many. And the tuna are down below this. And the ones that the dolphins stun or whatever but don't eat all filter out and down below, and that's where the tuna are. So you take, and we were just using, it was like a big lead-headed jig, about that big, and was probably 2-3 ounces worth of lead weight, just plain lead. And you just fling that out and just let it count down, and then you jerk it a few times and let it count down, and all of a sudden, it would, boom, you'd unload. But I mean, 20, 30-pound tuna, I mean, and it was a huge fight.
Yeah.
It was fun
Not
because
the same.
it's not 500 pounds by any means,
Yeah.
but it was so cool because as soon as everybody would see these dolphins, and it's like literally watching a flock of seagulls or ducks or whatever come over the horizon. Well, here come these dolphins, and everybody,
like,
all the boats would pick up and head after them.
That's actually how we found the bait fish coming out, is they were looking for that.
Yeah.
That excitement in the water.
And they have the tower boats, they call them. So they're like a 35-foot wide beamed boat, but the captain sits in the tower, and he can see so much further than you can standing on the deck. So and that's what he's watching for.
Well, it's really cool because those fish down there in the warm water, that they're all very surface orientated. So Maui that you were talking about, anytime there's a piece of trash floating in the water, a log or whatever, they go by it because there are minnows that live, that hide in the shadow of that tree, and the Maui are below it. So when you're up at the tower, you can actually see the shadow or the shape of that Maui underneath that tree or whatever. Sometimes it's a crate
log
or
just ocean trash, right? Like might be a little patch of seaweed that's all balled together, but the mahi will be just lying below it. And we'll go by it, and you know it's going to happen. So
my buddy Joe Lundquist says, can you imagine being Maui? He says, your whole life is sitting there staring up that piece of garbage floating around. Where it goes, you go. He says,
Joe thinks a lot about things like that.
Shower
Joe's
thoughts.
hilarious.
The shower thoughts, yes. Oh, that's funny. Oh, man.
Yeah, but that's going to be fun there in the show this year.
That
was an incredible
completely
experience.
Different. Yeah.
You know,
that was the one thing that I would have had said to anybody was, and I said it to like Jason Peterson when he first started. His first show was Hunting Canada, and then 2 years later was Hunting Canada and Beyond, and then he changed it to his last version, where Hunting in the Wild. But I said, don't limit yourself.
Yeah.
And I mean, you guys have,
it's like I said, I would hire somebody to give me a description of what we do. Mm-hmm. Basically I've rounded it down to if it involves hunting dogs.
Yeah.
And hunting birds. Because I guess, you got cat dogs and you've got bear dogs and stuff, which we don't deal with. But, if it has to do with hunting birds with dogs.
That's us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a neat thing though, because I mean you have so much. There's so much background there that you can work on. I mean, there's training of the dog. I mean, you must get all kinds of questions about.
We do, and we run basic obedience classes.
Yeah, I've seen that on your Facebook page.
Yeah, we're actually looking for a new facility right now because our old one sold.
Oh no!
We're using the old Pards Riding Arena.
Yeah.
So that was awesome because it's just, I mean, we don't charge a lot for the classes.
Yeah.
So the rent of a facility has to stay low because we don't own a facility.
Of course.
So now we're on the lookout for a facility before we can run classes again.
Yeah.
Summer's great because we can do it in a field or do it wherever, but now in the winter, and a lot of people even ask us about that. Are you guys running classes again? Are you running classes again? We have a lot of people interested in classes again, and we want to help. But without a facility.
But we've covered, like we've covered, the first year was training.
Yeah.
That was with the river litter.
Yeah.
And then you guys were just learning how to hunt waterfowl. And then we went through our breeding program. So I showed what it took for us to breed a dog, the health testing, all that stuff. We went through it, the hips, the eyes, the elbows, and heart.
Neat.
Why we do that is to ensure that we're not passing on any genetic flaws, because a lot of the purebred dogs, quote unquote, have, everybody looks at them like they have a lot of problems. Like, oh, you guys...
Right.
The German Shepherd has bad hips.
Yeah.
Do you know what's funny? And I was sorry to digress a little bit, but when you go and research a breed, we were talking about, understanding a breed lots of times. And I was thinking about it the other day, is that it says what problems they're
prone to
have. And GSPs are prone to have bad hips. But that's put out there like that.
Yeah.
But now that I think about it, and now that I understand more in the breeding and stuff, it's like, well, but if you go to a good breeder, your dog's not going to have that problem.
Yeah.
Barring any, major accidents and things. But in general, that's not fair to classify the dog as being prone to having that. If you rescue one, or if you go to a backyard breeder, or unfortunately a puppy mill that most people don't realize are from, those are things that you could have issues with.
But that's why we did that in the show, is to put that out to people and say, 50, 75 years ago, yes, the short hair was prone to bad hips. This is what we've done to fix it.
Yeah.
Right.
So we actually get them certified by the OPA.
Yeah. Orthopedic
Foundation of America.
Oh, okay.
But isn't that, though, typical of today, of people today, of the world today, is that everything is a list. Everything has, you've got a checklist, and you can either check the box or not check the box. I mean, who hasn't been on Facebook and seen the 25 smartest breeds of dogs, and you know that your dog is number 17 or this dog is number 2 or whatever. That is such a pile of bunk. It's like saying,
it's
here's the 25 smartest kids, And
it's subjective to whatever they decided they were looking at that day.
Yeah, but then you have that preconceived notion, like you say, with the hip dysplasia and the shepherds. Everybody worries about that. Well, there's probably other breeds that are equally as bad as the shepherds.
Absolutely, or worse.
But nobody knows about it, right?
Yeah.
It's like the pit bull, and everybody believes that they're so violent and all that. And I believe the worst biter per capita per dog is the boxer.
Labrador Retriever.
It's a lab.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that,
that's
now
because numbers.
Numbers are going to say shepherds are actually horrible for biting people.
Yeah. And yet the pit bull gets the rap about
and then
it, right?
actually, if you really dig into it, and then again, it's based on what you're looking at, but small dogs.
Yeah.
Small dogs are horrible for biting and biting kids and damaging children, but they don't get reported and then don't make the news.
But the problem with pit bulls,
because they didn't rip the arm off.
Yeah. The problem with pit bulls is they were bred to bite and hold on to cattle. That is what they were bred and designed to do, is to work cattle. So they would go up to a 2,500-pound bull and latch onto that thing and
do not let go.
And not let go.
Yeah.
So replace that bull with your arm.
Yeah.
Right? So the damage factor of a pit bull, I love them. We've worked
so
with
many
tons.
In town.
Yeah.
Love it.
But the problem is
the
damage that can be done by a pit bull is horrendous compared to
a
Yorkshire Terrier.
Yeah. And that's just it. But the Yorkies has bit and bit and bit and bit
Oh,
and
yeah.
bit. You've got a problem Yorkie, but nobody takes it seriously.
Well, it's like the Mexicans. I don't do Mexicans in my class. Chihuahuas.
Chihuahuas.
I
I'd let
refuse
that
to.
hang there for a minute. Careful. I was like, I was going to let that hang there for a second. Yeah, Chihuahuas. Okay, but you did help a little baby Chihuahua. Actually, talk about that for a minute. At Bone and Biscuit here in town, they did a dog wash and nail clipping.
Yeah.
And we go and we support them wholly because they've supported us for 3 years now.
Yeah.
And we went down there and I watched a woman get out of her car, put her little dog down. It was a Chihuahua. Put her little dog down. It starts yapping at what's her first reaction? She picks it up.
Oh.
And she brings it over. And this thing's nails are like almost curling under her poor feet because she hates getting her nails done. Hates it.
Yeah.
She bites everybody, loses her mind. So I said, Josh, take the dog. And of course, he's just like, no.
I don't want
Take
to.
yeah, I was like, take the dog. We need to help. So Josh gets a hold of the dog because he can hold it and settle it down in a way that's just calming and yeah, exactly. No. Nicely holding the dog. And while the owner's there, Ange tries clipping the nails. So the dog's losing his mind. So we told, the lady, do you mind? Come hang out outside. They're going to deal with your dog if you don't mind. And she's like, sure. So of course the dog settles down right away. Because now she's not protecting
Yeah.
that woman and stuff, right? So Josh is just walking around with the dog, which I got a picture of and put on Facebook with the little dog. But and just assuring the dog that Josh is not going to hurt it. Just chill out. But in the meantime, I had the opportunity to talk with this woman, and I was talking to her about dogs. And this is the first little dog she's ever had. She's always had big dogs. And I said, so why do you treat it differently than any other big dog? I said, when your big dog barks, do you pick it up? She said, no. I said, so why do you pick up that one? You've now told it, good job. It's okay. Thank you for barking at everyone. And I'm going to elevate you to everybody else's status. Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she just looked at me and she's like, really? And I was like, yeah. Well, think about it. If your dog or your kid is hurt, you're going to comfort it and tell it good job. Or has done something. I said, if your dog does something really, really great, what do? You pick it up, you pet it, you tell it it's a good job.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't understand the words good job, but he understands you picked it up and petted it.
Yeah.
There is no reasoning with dogs.
No.
Things are...
In their world. There is you're either the boss or you're
not.
Or you're not, and there's just no. People try and reason with the dog. Oh, please don't do that. What,
No.
Are you stupid?
No, saying that, Rich, we had I had just gotten out of the shower and I wasn't wearing a towel, so we didn't roll cameras on this. But
Thank you, Jesus.
I know.
Thank you, little baby Jesus.
But we had a perfect example of that. Now, pack order is pretty much what you're talking about, and who's the boss and, and stuff like that. And this question comes up all the time: do we run our dogs as a pack? 100%. Now, Gypsy's in heat. She's an intact female. Then we have Cricket, another intact female. Now, River, our intact male, went over to try and breed Gypsy, and Cricket got in between them.
Well, so by breeding, meaning he's really super interested in Gypsy, who's his mom.
Oh,
Yeah.
But and there's no breeding going on in our house, and not that we would ever let those two anyways. But, there's no breeding in our house, so we're very, very careful with that.
But Cricket, anyway, what I was saying was Cricket got in between there to block River, and why she did that is because that's not his place, because he is not the alpha male in the house.
Oh.
So that is Cricket's job in the pack as the enforcer. So she put herself between Gypsy and River to stop him from even attempting to breed her, because that's not his place.
It's not his place to decide. He doesn't get to decide what's
He's
happening.
not the alpha male in the house. So that's how important that dynamics is in a pack.
cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I did not know that.
And if
That's
I
pretty cool.
had a little more clothes on, I would have filmed it. Because it was a perfect example of how a pack works and how pack dynamics work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hear our
Really
killer dog.
interesting.
He must have seen a shadow.
Oh, he's behind there.
Yeah, I
Growling.
know, I can
Yeah.
hear growling, yeah.
Yeah. He growls a lot. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yes. He's how long we had him now?
Since the end of
5
April.
months.
5 months. Yeah.
End of April,
He's
yeah.
getting better. He's fitting in better.
Well, we got him, and I said to Richard, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Because I was getting on a plane to go to Toronto.
Yep, sure were.
And and it was like, yeah, well, it's gonna work or it's not gonna work. Like he'll fit in.
Yeah.
He'll, and he has fit in. I mean, with a few
There's been a couple
And there's
hiccups.
always,
Yeah.
you know, and I mean that's always just what it is. And then you talk about alphas and who's the number one and stuff, and we always have to explain to people, especially when they have a couple of dogs and introduced a new one and stuff. It's like, well, it's not them. You're the leader.
Yeah.
You're number one.
Yeah.
And in a house with a lot of girls and stuff like that, I mean, you've got males, so it's not as bad. But when we deal with our females, it's up to the girls in our house
Yeah.
Yeah.
to deal with. And we're the boss.
I can physically break up a fight in my house between the girls, but it'll happen as soon as I walk away.
Yeah.
It's her and Kathy have to deal with
Yeah.
that and break the dogs up. If they get up and get in there, the dogs split. If
Wow.
I get up, I can physically remove them, but they won't because that's
They're not respecting it. It's not,
That's not your spot.
That's
It's not
very
my place.
interesting. Well, none of these boys are intact,
Yeah.
so we don't have that to worry about.
and we do
but-
have that dynamic in our
Yeah.
house too.
But there still is dominant stuff that goes on.
Absolutely,
Oh,
there
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
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 Oh
No,
yeah. I mean,
there's
they
deference,
sort
right?
themselves out, right?
Yeah.
down,
It's very
right? And-
interesting because, Fuddy here, we introduced you to him earlier, but he's 12 and a half,
Yeah.
and he's the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's still the guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
just the way it
and
goes.
the young guy, even though he's physically more
Yeah.
dominant, he's very deferential. He always lets the other two go in and out of the door before he does, and they all,
It's
just
respect
interesting.
too, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you want to talk about our pack dynamics at home. So we have Cricket and Gypsy, and they were Josh's first females. And like you're talking about with two lines, you pick one.
Yeah.
Gypsy had her litter, kept a male, we kept River. So then when Cricket was bred, we kept a female with the intention of breeding Dot and River. And that would be our own
Yeah.
line, right? So it's always kind of a toss-up who's higher or not in the pack between Cricket and Gypsy. In certain instances, it seems to kind of go back and forth, but they're both top. Just know they're both top.
Yeah.
Now, in a natural order, Dot, being Cricket's daughter, would take over next.
Right.
So Dot challenges Gypsy. We have more fights in this last year, and not that we always have fights. I mean, we break up way more, and that's what we teach a lot of people is how to understand what is going on, and you break it up before it gets.
Yeah.
But you're not always staring at your dogs, even with as many as we have, right? I mean, so you do miss some cues, or you're just that split second too late, or you think you have it, and then all of a sudden they're like, no.
Yeah.
But now we have, it's been interesting to watch. Cricket now backs Dot in a fight.
Oh.
She backs Dot when Dot challenges Gypsy. So it becomes now a triple threat. So now you're not just watching the two, you're also keeping Cricket out. Cricket's actually been an interesting mom. She's way more mom than I ever thought. She is a hunting dog, and that is what she gets up and lives for every day.
Yeah.
And I thought, I mean, she was a really good mom to her puppies, and I said, well, again, instincts, that's great. But to watch her in keeping Dot, she gives Dot food. Cricket doesn't share food with anybody.
Yeah.
Like, she would growl if another dog, and not fight growl because they all eat very, very well. But
Yeah.
if another dog tried to stick their head in there, she's going to let them know that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
But if Dot tries, she either moves and completely gives her food, or she'll grab a mouthful and put it on the floor for Dot.
Really?
Wow.
And I'm like, are you mental? Dot has enough food. So we just keep Dot out of there, right? Like,
Yeah.
no. Gypsy's a groomer. She likes to groom River a lot. She grooms, especially when she's going into her heat cycle and stuff. She
Yeah.
gets super groomy. If she thinks about grooming Dot, she'll go over there and kind of start sniffing her. Cricket right over.
Yeah.
Pushes her right out of the way. That's mine. Cricket doesn't groom Dot. But Gypsy's certainly not. But it's
you're
been
not going
really
to.
interesting. Like, I mean,
It's funny though when you talk about these instinctual actions and reactions and that. Is hunting instinctual to them?
100%.
yeah.
Way, like, you have no idea how true that statement is. It's so amazing to watch.
Well, here's the thing. The old boy is dead on hunter. And this guy, like not from anything we've done, is an amazing bird dog. He trees them. He instinctually points, all that kind of stuff. Gunner would run through like a bowling ball through 10 pins down at the alley. Would run through them all to go get the stick on the other side of him to bring back.
Yeah.
Yep. Like he just doesn't have.
And that's
the
breeding.
Birdie.
And that'll be a lot of breeding and who went into.
No, we were talking earlier about that, the form, then this is where if you get on the function side of that breeding, and that's what we do. So I don't breed a dog until she's proven.
Right.
Right.
So I will hunt at least 2 seasons. I prefer 3 over a dog before I say, okay, yep, you're good enough for breeding. So this is where Dot's at right now, where we've got an American championship and a Canadian show championship on it. So both sides of the border, she's good to go for form. And she's just started her hunt training.
Right.
So I took her, this spring I took her to Vancouver with River. I had to put 1 more leg on his title.
Right.
So you have to run 3 legs, 3 times you have to run.
For hunt titles.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to throw Dot in the car. I'm going to Vancouver. It's 18 hours. Like, I might as well take her out. It's $25 entry, see what she does.
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you, that kid got out of the car. And I literally, Rich, it was the funniest thing. I walked up to the judge, and I'm known for having really good dogs. And I walked up to the judge and said, I'm going to tell you, I have no idea what's going to happen when I take the leash off this dog. I have done 0 training. Like, she might take off over that hill and
go grab a cocktail or something.
Yeah.
You
Like,
know, we really don't know.
I have no idea. And he said, well, let's find out. Well, I took the leash off that dog, Rich, and she had the best run of the day. She found 5 birds in less than 20 minutes, and you get usually a half an hour for the run. So the way you hunt a dog is the wind, nose in the wind all the time.
Yes.
And while the wind was blowing on our backs at that end of the course where we started, she blazed down to the other end and started working back herself. She found the first bird in like 45 seconds.
Wow.
So we literally had to run down there. I put that bird up. She's on another one. She's on another one. She's on another one. And she was done. And he said, man, that was the best run I've seen today.
Do you know what I think is the most awesome place that you could ever train a dog? Our son, I building a home for him right now in Red Deer, and he's got 3 acres out of a farmed quarter, and so the rest of the quarter is in barley. And his we got that Rosie dog we got this year, and she's just, I think she was 14 months or 12 months when he got her, something like that. But she's really a real hard hunting dog. But you could take and she just constantly wants to fetch for you. So you take and throw something out into that barley. Well, the only way she can find it is with her nose.
Yeah, she
now
can't see
that
it.
is so bloody amazing to watch that work back and forth. And she's jumping up. They're trying to see all
Mule
the time.
deer.
Yeah, they're doing the mule deer and that.
Gunner
But her
does
nose,
that all the time.
her nose is just boom, 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 and she's
Yeah.
because that's the only way she can find that is with her nose.
Yeah.
So I was just I'm working away, and every now the dog brings the things back to me, and I throw it out there, and I'm thinking, that's a pretty good spot to train them,
Yeah. It's really awesome. And I mean, one of the things that's been the hardest that I have found shooting all this footage is shooting upland. Shooting waterfowl is difficult in the way that the birds are coming in. Now find them in your monitor. And you're trying to aim your camera, you're trying to find them. These guys are calling you, they're bringing them in. You're still trying to find them. You're getting 0 footage right now. You are catching clouds.
Yeah.
And you catch them and there they are, and you're trying to get them in focus, and so that has its challenges. It's not like big game hunting where you're just like still. There's the
She
deer.
makes it sound so easy. What am I doing wrong?
In comparison, never done it. Never done it. I will call it that. I'm watching the guys in this tree stands just hold the camera on.
No, but that's not hunting.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Okay. Agreed. But now this upland stuff, I hope nobody minds wiggly footage. Because how do you can't. No. Cameras are heavy. Yeah. And camera a tripod, next to forget it.
Oh, hey, listen, we could tell you nightmares about this. We end up going to Nebraska. We're supposed to be going down there to go muzzleloader hunting for both whitetail and mule deer. Well, we get down there, and this guy wouldn't know a deer if it knocked him out of his his chair at the table. But anyway, down there they actually have the greater prairie chicken. Yes, the greater prairie chicken. Yes.
Oh, yeah, so it was really something.
We go out and
yeah, they do.
This was what 2000, 2001 it was like a year or two after we'd started the show. So and we go down there and TJ is not a good cameraman. Not for this in this situation.
Yeah.
That's not TJ Swanky, is it?
So here's what the deal was: is that you're out and we're going across the sandhills in Nebraska, and these birds explode up at your feet, and
yeah, they do.
And I says, well, he says, do you think you can get one of them on camera? I said, if you can kill one of them with a shotgun, I can get it on camera. So that's what we did. So for 2 days we march around, and I'm holding the Sony like this all this time.
Yeah, and it's the big camera.
Up to the eyepiece is right here all the time. It comes up so we go through all kinds of batteries because it had to be on standby nonstop, right?
Yeah.
Because all I got to do is hit record and be on and focus.
Yeah.
Well, I even got a double. I even caught him getting a double. Probably the only double he's ever shot in his life, because we've always teased him that with a over under he could always take that first one and just throw it in the bush and mount to the same. He always says
that's always the test shot.
Yeah, the first one was just a ranger. Yeah, for ranging. Yeah, exactly. But so that I've done a lot of shooting for birds and that. And, upland is the toughest.
And then trying to catch what is happening.
The story that goes along with
That's
it.
what I was going to say. Is you're trying to capture a story with the upland.
Yeah.
Like, we took Dot out, and I mean, I hope the footage that got was well enough. I mean, so it was one of her first times. It was one of the first times actually hunting pheasant. We've taken her out as a baby puppy and just let her run around. Mm-hmm. It was great. But to watch her run around like, oh, this is a great walk, yay, and run and run and run and run and run. What was that? What was that? But then watch her find a bird, try to figure it out. And you can see this happening, try to figure it out. And then point one, we tell her to hold. But at this point, the point was to get her excited for and understand what she was getting. Mm-hmm. So she didn't have to hold. But we would get as close as we can before she flushes the bird, and we'd shoot it. So I'm trying to get all of that on camera and then watch her progress from puppy running around on a really fun walk to finding a bird to figuring out that if she finds those birds, we shoot those birds and she gets to fetch them up. Yeah. That is like the biggest goal. And then to actually watch, I mean, if you know your dog well enough, the expression on her face change when she's running. Mm-hmm. She's not just running around anymore. She is head down, purposely using the scent. You can watch her use that scent cone where she'll run out of it, spin right around, like their nose pretty much stays as their body moves and comes back, and being able to capture all that and keep up. Because I mean, I'm zoomed, because as soon as things are happening, I'm stopping, I'm zooming. Mm-hmm. Because if I'm taking time walking up, I'm missing. Yeah. And the camera's shaking all over, and and I'm watching all of this, and I'll look up and I'll be like, no, I have to catch them. They are so far away. So that has been my biggest challenge this year, is trying to convey all of that on camera and capture it so that, I mean, we can do talk ups, we can do, over talk, we can do, all of that, but to actually get it on film to explain, this is what's happening. Yeah. Look at Dot running around like a puppy having a good day, to figuring out a bird, to, and capturing it all. Yeah.
And I'm telling you, that hunt that she's talking about, like, we literally went, and I love watching it, from a puppy to a finished dog. After that first bird, we limited out over that dog in like 45 minutes.
Yeah, it was about 45 minutes.
And we were just not only did we limit out, we were walking out of the field, and two guys were walking in without a dog. And I was like, okay, walk towards me, and I'll work my dog towards you. Bam, like 30 seconds, she pinned a double for them. And they got both birds.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And like, we went out in the field with a puppy and come out with a finished dog. It was so cool. But I'm going to ask you a question, Rich. So you said you were in Nebraska, and what was it you were hunting?
We were supposed to be hunting mule deer and whitetail, but the greater prairie chicken is what we
Prairie chicken, okay. Yeah. So when people are walking around out in the woods here, and those gray birds that flush up in the tree, what are those?
The gray ones are usually rough grouse.
So they're not chickens.
Oh, no, they're chicken.
Yeah.
No, come on, guys. You're killing me.
And they're not woods. It's the bush.
Yeah.
This is, they all call it out in the woods. And I'm like,
We've
"The
always
woods?"
called
Really?
it chicken hunting.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
it's
going
always-
chicken hunting. Thank you.
They're
But,
wrong
hey, listen,
grouse.
and I was raised shooting chicken with a 22.
Right? I know, you go and you shoot chickens.
Well, so one of the best stories of us going chicken hunting was we load up the kids, and we had a Brittany. We had a Brittany at the time,
Oh, yeah.
right? And she was a good dog, but a family pet, and we never. I mean, whatever hunting she did, she kind of taught herself because we had her from a puppy. But we went out on what we called the old chicken road. And it was just I know
just
it's
loses
driving
it.
him crazy.
I know, it's
But
hilarious.
anyway, on the way back, we've got 2 quads. We've got a little, we called it the bob along trailer, little blue trailer that we hauled along behind. Richard shoots a chicken, and the kids were like the dogs. Like, it's my turn. I get to go, you know. So one of them goes in and is like, Dad, I can't find the chicken. And Richard's like, oh, for crying out loud, blah, blah, blah. And then I hear him, Sandi, what?
So I go in after.
Yeah.
And send the kid back. Kind of thing, right?
Get the kids on the quad and get the F out of here. What's going on? There's a grizzly with 2 cubs. The chicken's between the cubs and the mama.
Yeah.
We're just going to let them have that one. We're going to go.
So he backs up, gives the gun to me. I sit backwards on the quad like Annie Oakley.
Yeah.
The kids are way down the
We
road.
have a 22
Yeah.
with us.
Yeah.
That's it. No,
big
rifle.
gun.
Yeah.
No big gun. Probably the only
I'll
time
tell you
we've ever
grizzly story
gone to
after.
the bush without a big gun.
Yeah.
It was the last time we got into the bush without a big gun.
Yeah.
But she never came out. But
No.
But he
Yeah.
put a couple shots into the tree right by her and kind of sprayed a little bit of bark in her face and
Yeah. Said, okay,
yeah.
move it
But
along.
we get
we're
back
gonna
to the
go.
truck and the kids had locked the doors. Because apparently grizzlies can open truck doors.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, Josh went out hunting one time.
Yeah. So, well, 2 things. You realize when you broadcast this, I'm going to re-edit it, and every time she said chicken, I'm going to put the word grouse in. But, so Cricket, who I bought, is like exceptional field trial lines. And as a puppy, we went out grouse hunting one time. Rough
He
grouse.
almost said it. Was that close?
So she goes into the bush, and she's on point, and then she takes off into the bush, and I'm like, what's this? Why'd this dog break point? Like, I could see the bird in front of her. It was a grouse.
Say, gross.
But anyway, this grizzly bear comes beating out of the bush, and with my dog on its back.
Oh.
And I'm standing there with a 410.
Single shot.
Single shot 410. So I'm like, do I shoot the dog? Do I eat the gun? How's this work? But Cricket thinks bears are rabbits, and Daddy needs to shoot rabbits. So once the bear had run by me with the dog on its back, she jumped off the bear and turned it and brought it back.
Oh, you missed it. I'll bring it back to you. Like, what? No, stop.
So I'm standing beside the truck, and I'm like, I got to figure this out. So anyway, this bear comes barreling by me, and I just reach out and I grab the dog by the front leg as the bear takes off across the highway and up a hill, and I'm just standing there, and I'm like, I got to go. I call Cassie. I'm like, my day's done.
Yeah.
I have to go. I just pulled the dog off a grizzly bear.
Stop at the store. I need a new pack of underwear.
Yeah.
So I go over to the neighbor who owns the field, and I pull into his driveway, and he's like, come on in. So I'm sitting at the kitchen table. I'm like, so if you're up there walking around, because I know you do, there's a grizzly bear in that top field. No. Yeah, Al, there's a grizzly bear in that field. No, I just flew over this morning. There's all black bears. So, if the black bears were there wouldn't be a grizzly. I walk out in the truck and I pull a handful of grizzly hair out of the dog's mouth and I slap it down on his table and I'm like, does that look like black hair? And he's like, where did you get that? Out of my dog's mouth. I'm going home.
I have
You
to
do what you
finish
want.
shaking. Yeah.
See? If you call him chicken, you'd relax. You wouldn't have all this anger. That's the moral of this whole story.
Yeah, exactly. Just chickens. Welcome to Alberta. It's the bush, and in the bush you find chickens.
Yeah.
I go in the woods and find grouse. That's awesome.
The woods.
Oh, this has gone on for hours, people. We've had a lot of laughs here.
Yeah.
Always.
And we got to do it again.
Absolutely. There's way too many stories to
Oh,
tell,
I know,
right?
right?
Oh, when you have dogs, I'm telling you, the stuff that happens is just incredible.
Yeah.
When you go out in the woods or the bush,
The bush.
You have stories to tell.
Well,
Yeah.
we wish you folks every success in the year coming up. We know the grind, so we sympathize. We appreciate. We love watching your dogs. Absolutely love it.
And we got a good year. Like, we've had a really good year this year. Like, it's going to make for some great TV.
Good.
That is excellent. That is excellent. And we'll thank you anyway, and we're going to have to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, thanks for being with us. It's always a pleasure to have guests, and it's even nicer when it's in our home.
Yeah.
And,
So thanks for inviting us out.
Yeah, absolutely. Next time we'll have to do it when it's warm enough to have a bonfire.
Well, that was funny because Rich said too. He's like, "Well, we can come to your place." I'm like, "No, our house is chaos."
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, chaos. You should have seen ours earlier. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, folks, and we'll maybe see you out on the line.